Imagine you were a lady in a fairy tale who really wanted to have a baby, but instead of a baby, you gave birth to a big giant pot. Like a big silver cooking pot. This thing came out of your front butt. That's it. That's the fairy tale.
Fucked up fairy tales with Liz.
Oh, friends, the news is bad and the views are bad, but we forge on. It is Asian Pacific Islander Month. Native Hawaiians celebrated in there as well. Let's do a folktale, a Palestinian folktale that is quite delightful. Now, I cannot pronounce the name that is used in the fabulous source that I found this folktale in, but the name is to indicate the sound of a pot rolling down the street, so let's call it the rolling pot. Once there was a poor woman who was so desperate to have a child that one night during her prayers she cried, "I wouldn't even care if my little baby girl was a pot." Now that's the thing with praying for children in fairy tales. You have to be careful of how you express your wish, because if you make an extreme, strange request like that, you'll probably get it granted, but literally. For indeed, when the lady asked her doula, "Is it a boy or a girl?" the doula said, "Lady, you just gave birth to a pot." And instead of an afterbirth, I have to assume the lid rolled out. But what could she do? This was her child, so she cleaned up her big pot baby and put it on the shelf. But Big Silver Pot Baby was not interested in sitting on a shelf. She wanted to go out and see the world.
Mama, put me outside the door.
So her mama put her outside the door, and the pot rolled on down to the town square.
You just roll with it, baby. Come on and just roll.
She rolled right into a man who thought to himself, "Damn, that is a good-looking pot." So he took the pot, and on the way home he brought it to a honey vendor and had the guy fill her up and put that lid on tight. Trouble was, when he got back home and wanted to enjoy some of that honey, share it with his guests, he couldn't get the lid off the pot again. Everybody tried, everyone in the house, and not a single person could even loosen the lid of that pot. So the man cursed the pot and threw it out the window, and it rolled right back home to its mom. Mom was able to get the lid off no problem, and the family had a whole bunch of honey. Mama put the honey in a jar, she cleaned the pot up, and she put her back on a shelf. But the next day, the pot was like,
Mama, put me outside again.
So Mama put the pot outside the door, and the pot rolled on back to the town square.
Rolling in the deep.
She rolled right into a second man who thought, "Damn, that is a good-looking pot." He brought the pot to a butcher and had the butcher fill it with his best cuts of meat. He popped the lid on that baby and took it home. Problem was, when he got home, no one could get the lid off the pot to enjoy some of that sweet meat. So this man cursed the pot and tossed it out his window, and the pot rolled back home to Mom, and Mom had a feast that night. And Mama cleaned up the pot and put it back on the shelf. But the next day the pot cried,
Mama, put me outside again.
So Mama put her outside the door, and this time the pot rolled right past the town square and went all the way to the king's door.
And we're rolling to the castle.
Now the king's son saw the pot, and he may have been rich, but he knew a good-looking pot when he saw it, and he took it in to show his wife. Now, his wife said, "This pot is much too pretty to cook with. Let's use it to store some things." So she decided to store her best jewelry in the pot, as well as her huge rainy day fund of cash. Of course, the next day, when the princess was getting ready for her brother's wedding, she could not open the pot again to put on some of those nice jewelry and get some of that cash for a wedding gift. No one in the palace could open it, including the blacksmith. And the king's son cursed the pot and threw it out the window. The pot rolled home, and Mama was so surprised when she opened that pot. She screamed in delight and also, like, a little bit of embarrassment. I mean, her kid just, like, fucking stole a lot of goodies from the palace. She put the jewels and the cash in a safe place and put her daughter back up on the shelf. Now, the next day, the pot was like,
Mama!
But her mother said, now, you might want to take a break. I mean, you just did a pretty risky thing, stealing jewelry and money from the king's son himself. I think we should lay low. But the pot kept on.
Aw, Mama, put me outside one more time.
So Mama relented. She put the pot outside her door, and once again the pot rolled to the town square.
Roll to me,
Unfortunately for the pot, this time she rolled into the same man who she initially tricked. And on top of that, the pot was gaining a bit of a reputation around town. So once again, the man did pick up the pot and take it home. But this time he took a shit in it. He shit in that pot. He shit, then got off the pot. He cursed the pot, he threw it out the window, and the pot rolled home, and frankly, the pot thought this was kind of hilarious. She sang all about the shit she was carrying home to her mother. But her mother sure didn't think it was funny. So this time, when she cleaned up the pot and put her back on the shelf the pot stayed. Whether you are a baby or a pot, you should never get too big for your britches. Let me know in the comments what you would name your child if your child was a pot. And just stick around for a few more messages, because I've got a lot going on. First off, I am still supporting Diana and hoping to rally more funds for her family's GoFundMe to rebuild and get to safety, so please do that if you haven't already. If you'd like more information, there is a pinned video in my profile. If you're in the Providence area, save the date, Tuesday, May 28th. I am performing my first ever live Fucked Up Fairy Tales show at Riff Raff Bookstore and Bar. You gotta come to that. And I'll let you know right now that until the news and the views improve, you're gonna get some pretty, rough and tumble fairy tale videos from me. I'm not going through all the costumes, I'm not going through all the sets, I'm not going through all the craziness if, 0.5% of my followers get to see it. So enjoy some stories from my couch. Hey, this is where it began, folks. This is how it all began. Just you and me. No fucking microphone. P.S. I do not think this microphone is working. We'll see how that goes. Happy Asian American Pacific Islander Native Hawaiian Heritage Month! More stories for that coming soon. I'll see you for the next Fucked Up Fairy Tale.